All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. Bean Talk episode 25 looks a little different than usual, but I mean, that whole situation, Christian, our regular podcast room got booked out pretty heavily for finals week as it's approaching. So, gonna make do in our regular weekly setting. So, just get started. Start with all some recent news, and we'll see what we get into with the rest.
Yeah, so obviously the most recent one that literally just happened, I think it was just yesterday, was Deontay Johnson. He has been suspended for the teams, but he will miss the Giants game after their bye week because of conduct detrimental to the team, and that is because he didn't want to enter last week's game. And this is already upsetting a lot of negative aspects, this whole Ravens team. I mean, they traded for him, get him out of Carolina there, and now we see Carolina with Bryce Young, they're finally starting to pick up the rhythm, striving there. Maybe Deontay Johnson could have been a huge factor in that there too, but now here at the Ravens, he really hasn't got been getting the production that a lot of Ravens fans and even the whole league around,
Which
fans
forget the
around the
production. He hasn't been really given a chance, which for a point I can understand. He was frustrated. He wasn't getting any playing time. I think that Bengals game, which he was really expected to get brought into the fold. I expected him to. I bet on that game. Nothing ended up happening. Obviously, I think he got like one target in general. But I mean, yeah, I understand his frustration for not being involved, but when it comes to the point that you're just refusing to come into the game, then like the whole reason everything happened, it was something detrimental to the team, and yeah, there's going to be discipline for it.
Yeah, and honestly, this is just a really tough thing to see there. I mean, I thought he's gonna be a big asset to to Lamar Jackson. Maybe like it could be Deontay just not being able to get open, just having really sloppy play, or just Lamar not finding the ball there. Since we see Zay Flowers, he's been getting a couple more targets here and there. And when you got a guy like that carrying in the backfield, obviously he's gonna be a big carrying to that offense there. But I'm really going to be interested to see what John Harbaugh is going to do moving forward once the suspension is done here. Maybe could be a wake up call to him finally get some targets. Who knows there? But as of right now, this trade it's looking like a pretty mid trade. For the most part, as looking at this right now, and maybe Carolina got the better end of this.
Which the compensation was pretty mediocre, so like whatever,
Yeah.
I guess. But you get a talented receiver, you're expecting to use him, but I mean, it's a whole other conversation we can have about John Harbaugh. I mean, I think the coaching we've seen from him this year has been kind of subpar, and I mean, a disappointing end to this year. Could he be on the hot seat? That's, like I said, a whole other topic that we could really dive into. But I mean, like we're just gonna get to see, like you say, if he gets a little better involved. But I think one of the bigger news that we definitely got to get into the whole Trevor Lawrence Aziz Al-Shaair situation. Now, of course, I think like a little bit after the last week's recap came out, Al-Shaair was officially suspended for 3 games. He's gonna appeal that suspension, and Trevor Lawrence gonna be out for the remainder of the season, placed on IR with that concussion, and I believe he also was gonna get surgery on his sprained AC joint. Am I
I
mistaken?
haven't read anything about the AC joint yet there, but I know the bigger
I
thing
think
about
that's what
it
was gonna
was,
keep him out for the full year. That they were gonna just do
yeah.
the repair surgery, and that's just gonna knock him out.
Yeah, but the main thing here was, the concussion. So they're gonna keep him out for the remainder of the season. Mac Jones is gonna take the spot there, which not really see the Jaguar season is pretty much, in shambles as it is already. But obviously when we're looking at Trevor Lawrence there, it's actually a really, really horrible thing to see there. I mean, I think ETN already spoke out about it, that I think it's for the best that Trevor misses the rest of the season. He's got a daughter. I think he has the daughter on the way,
Yeah.
gotta keep himself healthy for him and his family. So that's obviously really nice to see ETN's obviously bringing, the brighter side of things, which is really nice to see from your teammate there. But obviously from Aziz Al-Shaair, I know him for the appeal, him posting with if they want him to be the villain, then he'll be the villain with the Joker memes. I'm just like, dude, like you went from being like I guess a beloved linebacker in the league to already being hated already by a lot of most fans out there for posting that, that
Which, let's
pretty
be
corny tweet
honest,
there.
we also do know Al-Shaair does have that history of some,
Hmm.
not the best hits. And I mean, was
Yeah,
the GM Nick Casario coming out and saying
yeah.
that it was bullshit to paint him in that light? I mean, there's the ways that you can look into. I mean, I know Trevor. I mean, say that maybe he slid a little late, but
Hmm.
Al-Shaair had time to move away, and that's the bulk of this story. That say what you want, say that we're protecting quarterbacks too much in this league. That's a play where we did have to protect Trevor Lawrence a little better, and Al-Shaair did not do his part there.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people that, like you said, should have slid a little early. There's always gonna be people telling about that. I mean, Could he have? Could he have? Yes, but I mean, come on, you can still move.
He
I know
didn't make
the
an
momentum.
attempt. Yeah.
Yeah, I know momentum. Momentum gets into play that. Your body's already going forward. You can't really move out of the way. I can understand that there, but for you complaining about that hit, it was a dirty hit. Straight helmet to helmet. There's no complaining there. And then even worked there, like just going in social media, even adding more salt to the wound on your character. It's just not looking good, especially for this Texans organization. That we already see this Texans team. It's already kind of in the dumps for the most part. There, this play alone is just making it worse. And again, even against the division rival, at this point you gotta let the rivalry side. This was just really, really horrible, really thing to see there, and you just can't really have that.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, like you're saying with this Texans team, I mean, the defense was probably the bright spot at this point. I mean, offensively, all the CJ Stroud struggles. I guess Mixon was probably the only bright spot on that offense, but defensively, they've been pretty sound. So to see this come out here, I mean, sure, one of your better players is going to be out for the next 3 games. And also just, I mean, could this be some type of locker room turmoil that ends up internal? I mean, I'm sure they're probably backing up their guy. I mean, we see their GM, of course, and everyone seems to be backing him up, but I don't know, they're just playing themselves out to be the villains, and they're putting themselves out as a victim mentality that they're putting out to be villains, but they're just doing it to themselves.
Yeah, there's really no villainy arc going on as well as Harry. I think he just wanted some engagement. I know a lot of players they want to do that. I know a lot of people on social media, especially Twitter. Man, I don't even want to get started with Twitter, especially in like how horrible it is now on the app. I can't even go on there for some simple memes now. But we just know there's not even a villainy arc to be set there. Not even something to prove. It's just corny, and it's not a good look for the league. It's not a good look for the team, and it's not a good look for yourself. You're just killing your character for the most part there. And I know how earlier I did mention I think Bryce Young there. Getting to Bryce Young, he's been doing a little bit well. I guess the meme around there is when he got benched, Rod Wave, I think on social media at him when it starts to call him up. Who knows if that's true? I mean, Bryce did come out. Yeah, I believe it was yesterday talking about it. It was very broad. It was very.
He came
broad.
out to say he just said that Rodway just hit him up and gave him some words of encouragement, and all that. I mean, was the real words of encouragement that he threatened to drop the album if he didn't start playing better? But look, I mean, sure, all the Rod Wave hate you could say. I mean, look, it's a weird involvement. It's a weird way this is all unraveling. But I mean, is it just a coincidence? Probably. But I mean, regardless, it's just, I mean, it's interesting to see that is how it ended up shaking out. But look, Bryce Young is obviously playing a lot better ball. We know earlier in the season, I mean, from the start of the season, I expected this to see a lot of improvement out of Bryce Young. And early on, I kind of started eating my words, expected this. I mean, is Bryce Young starting to get into that bust territory? But last couple games, he's looking a lot better and really starting to look like that quarterback of the future for Carolina.
Yeah, it's just the only problem is, that front office coming to the draft this offseason once again. They're gonna have to bolster up. They're gonna have to bolster up that offense, bolster up both sides. Though obviously, I can say something about the defense.
Even though they do have the pieces. I mean, a guy like Chuba Hubbard. I know what happened that he lost the game last week, but I mean,
but that was his only mistake. That's really his only mistake of the season. You can't really hold him out to that. Offensively, develop Leggett as well. You got other guys like Hawker on the other side of the field as well too. I did mention Leggett.
Okay, yeah, my bad. But yeah, you got Leggett. I did mention Leggett. He's on his way out. He's
hitting that peak of age there, but he's
playing great right now.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's still got it, like for being such an young guy at a receiver there, which is really nice to see. For all these guys are finally developing, the chemistry's getting together. It's really nice for Bryce coming back in and everyone supporting him around there. The online. Still a little iffy, but there's still room for improvement there, and we haven't seen that for the past couple of games there. The defense, it has a lot of bright flashes, a lot of great bright spots there. Obviously, still room for improvement there, but it all depends on the pieces built around for Bryce Young. We see how good Bryce Young's playing right now. Get him at least a decent amount of pieces there, and this Carolina team can finally get past from the dumps for the past couple of seasons there. But obviously, it's more easier said than done there. But with Bryce Young specifically, he's been playing nothing but, pretty good football since he's came back from getting benched there. And it's really nice to see. I mean, I know I gave up on him. You gave up on him entirely in his second year there. But again, we know we like to see is we can't see it too early right then and there. Bryce Young is a prime example.
I fully gave up on him. I still, down inside, the way you are with Aunt Rich, in a way, I guess I had that type of way deep down looking at Bryce Young. But I mean, yeah, he's in a tougher situation than Aunt Rich, definitely. But like all you're saying, I think the O-line is definitely the main part that they really got to bolster, because they got a definitely up and coming receiver core. That defense, definitely has a chance. Sneaky could get them a couple pieces. It's a weak division, the NFC South. They could definitely make some noise next year. This is what I was saying for this year. But now next year we could probably see some signs to really start coming out. But from that last topic that we were in, I mean, you start talking about all the Twitter stuff, everything, people start just saying whatever. It's about your fan base and the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, right now, obviously from 3-7 to 5-7, and with two very winnable games coming up against the Bengals and the Panthers, the Cowboys could very well be back to 500. And are we going to start seeing the delusion build up at a possible playoff push?
This fan base, enough. We pretty much gave up this whole season, but after these couple of wins, it's finally started to pick up there. I'm obviously still being a realist there. I'm looking at the whole playoff picture, the road to the playoffs. It's still very difficult, especially with, the Bucks still up there holding that wild card spot. The Rams still up there in the hunt. They're the first team in the hunt there.
Realistically, all those NFC West teams, it's hard to really put them in the hunt. I think it's just that dogfight to get into that third seed as
but I'm saying
NFC West winner.
I'm saying the record-wise, the Rams, they're pretty much there. Same with the Seahawks,
Rams and Cards and Niners, yeah.
Yeah, well, Niners. I mean, you could kind of say, it's kind
of. You could say that, but you could also you could group the Niners and Cowboys in that same hole.
Yeah, they are pretty much with everything that's been going on. They just Cowboys have the little upgrades, just because I guess you could say the more momentum's kind of building towards the Cowboys side there. But this game against the Bengals, I think that's gonna really prove it all there. I know, spoiler, I'm gonna have to go with my Cowboys on this one there too. But with the Bengals, with their high-powered offense there too, they're looking at with Joe Burrow there, but their defense is exactly what's not been looking like. Who knows? Maybe Cooper Rush can go generational on that. Probably not there, but with the way the Cowboys defense has been playing recently, how well they've been doing, the way DeMar Mulver's shown pretty much being one of those leaders at the linebacker core, and our corners finally, playing decent now. That hopefully Diggs and Bland can be playing on the same side of the ball this time for once this season there. It can be a really big struggle there, and I know Jamar Chase is going to be playing that game with the chip on his shoulder there. But with the delusion going on with everything here, there's definitely going to be delusion, right? There's always delusion with Cowboys fans. There's delusion with everyone, with every other fan base there. But with the Cowboys fan base, it's always going to be delusion there. And I'm trying to keep it as realist as possible, because the road to the playoffs, it's still very difficult to look at. Winning out is just winning out, great. We win out, but there's going to be a lot of other factors tying out to these teams losing, these teams winning, and how everything's going to be set.
Yeah, because realistically, I mean, I still see them losing this week, but if they do pull this game out against the Bengals, you got the Panthers next, which, let's probably say you guys win that one. Like I said, the delusions are going to be high, but then you got tough games against the Bucks, Eagles, and Commanders to finish the season. So that's going to be the reality check. That's going to be when it all comes down to hit you. I mean, let's just completely throw out the window even the possibility of winning out, obviously. But, I mean, I think best realistic case scenario, maybe 6-11, probably 7-10. You would probably want that more, honestly, because of that draft position. But they start winning meaningless games. If they pull out a divisional matchup in one of these and pull themselves to 8 and 9, get a middle of the pack draft pick, it's only going to start tanking your guys realistically.
Yeah, and honestly, it's really just going to want to see how because these players, they're going to want to win. Micah, he's going to want to win. They're going to want to win out. Him going back on Twitter, saying that, we're not done yet. I'm hoping you're a man of that word there, but you know how there's the momentum's building up. Hopefully that pays off there. But really, the main game is going to be the Eagles, the Bucks, and Commanders. Those are really the three games that are really going to determine it all outside of this Bengals game there. Would I like to see a wild card spot just to lose in the first round again? Sure, maybe I'll allow just this once for how I've been this season there. But again, if we're going to be in the middle of the pack of the draft pick, 18, 19, or even maybe 17, and that's going to be the consequences that they're going to have to pay for, making a run like that there. But again, we still got a couple weeks left of football there, and this is December. We are in December now. We see now how December football. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening.
Absolutely, and well, I mean, like you said, December football. That's when all these matchups mean more. And I think one matchup in this week that I really want to look at is important in my division. The two teams ahead of us, in the Cardinals and the Seahawks, return matchup from just a couple weeks ago that the Seahawks pulled off that upset. I mean, I don't know who you're pulling with. I'm going to pick them, and I'm really hoping that this ends up happening with the Cardinals pulling this one out, even though it's going to be a really tough one with that Seattle defense right now.
Yeah, like I said, momentum now, December momentum on everyone's team. It's going to be a big part there, but I don't know if the curse is going to be back. You picking the Cardinals to win, they're going to lose. But
see, we ended up getting over that with that Packers game a couple weeks ago. So I'm feeling a little better. I'm playing carefree with my Cardinals picks right now, but I mean, just in general, the one thing we just have to see Kyler bounce back, and this is going to tell us a lot about how Kyler keeps going throughout the season. Obviously, that great start, and recently haven't seen that great, that efficient play that we've really seen from specifically that Seahawks game. Kind of came out as an eyesore, and then that Vikings game really kind of started to confirm what we saw. If he can have a bounce back here, I mean, they get back to that tie at the top of the NFC West. Hopefully if the Rams win that game, which they probably won't against the Bills, that'll have a three-way tie at the top. That's mainly what I'm looking at. If we can, as long as the teams at the top can beat each other and keep themselves from getting too much separation from the Rams, that's going to help us, and that's the only thing I really care about right now.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, it's really just which quarterback is going to get going first. Is Gino or is it going to be Kyler? We see with Gino, he starts off really slow. But the main factor with the Seahawks team is their defense. They're the ones bringing the pack back. And we saw this against the Jets game. They were down with 6-21, the pick six from
Leonard Williams.
From Leonard Williams, there you go.
Man.
Yeah, Big Boy Williams, to him getting the pick six, finally get the moment to carry, offense getting it going. That's really the big factor for this Seahawks team. It's going to be that defense. And if Gino started to a slow start, opposite end, on the Cardinals side, if Cardinals starts going early, this for Burnham will for sure be the Cardinals game right there. But it's going to be a very inconsistent matchup, specifically for me, just because I don't know who to pick exactly right then and there. Well, obviously, you're going to have all the predictions by Saturday like we always do there. But, I've been defending the Cardinals all my life. Maybe I'll pick the Cardinals there, but just because of the Seahawks defense, it's kind of hard to tell on this one there. But like we said with the NFC West, it's really tricky. It's really this close there, and it's just an ugly division. And now speaking of the games, keeping it in there, throwing into another probably the biggest matchup of the week, which is the Thursday nighter of the Lions and the Packers there. Now hopefully we see some Packers redemption there, or is it just gonna keep the Lions keep dominating like they always do there with Jamal J-Mo on the back, finally back on the backfield there. Hopefully he gets it going against this Packers team. We saw from their first matchup, this was all pretty much Lions game. Run game with Gibbs and Monty still looking like one of the top backs in the league. And then Jared Goff, once again, staying consistent in the pocket, getting his throws down. I would love to see Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah, I would like to see Amon-Ra get a little bit more engaged just so I can play spoiler and fantasy there. But it's going to say a lot about this Packers team, coming into playoffs against, probably one of these high-powered teams there. Is Jordan Love going to stay consistent with the pass game? Is going to get rid of this gunslinging mentality just this once in this game, to finally get his good reads going?
But also
is
with
Josh
the
Jacobs.
Packers. Yeah, I'm sure. Say which one, and I'll get into Josh Jacobs right now. But one thing I did want to just mention about the Packers in general was the injuries. They're being hit with injuries right now. I mean, say, Jair Alexander hasn't been, the same factor that he has been in the past, but he is going to miss a game once again this week. Romeo Doubs is going to be out with that concussion that he suffered last week. So that's one less weapon for Jordan Love to really get into when he gets into trouble. And like you said, Josh Jacobs, at the moment, he's questionable. He's been limited in practice throughout the week, has a nagging calf issue from the last week. Is he gonna? I mean, I'm fully expecting him to play, but my main thing is I'm really expecting him to be limited, which I'll get to that in just a little bit. And I think the main thing that I always talk about, Josh Jacobs is kind of the defining factor in how this Packers offense is gonna end up rolling. If the defense can pick it up for him, that's one thing. But with a struggling Jacobs that I'm probably expecting, it's gonna be hard to see, especially at Lambeau. It was a pretty much of a struggle. Now seeing it to spin this back into Detroit, I can't really see the Packers pulling it out. We saw Jared Goff had a really struggling game, probably one of his, I wouldn't call it a bad game, but not as good as we were used to seeing from this season. Can't really expect him to struggle that much again. I'm expecting him to come out stronger and expecting in general the receiving core to come out stronger. I know you're thinking a little bit about that, we'll get into, but expecting Amon-Ra and that whole receiving core to really have a bounce back and really probably make a statement in this game, and kind of making it obvious, but I'm gonna go with the Lions in this one.
Yeah, same thing with this one. Honestly, really was leaning towards Packers spoiler there, but just with the way how loaded this Lions team is, it's really kind of tough to go against them there. And I know like you mentioned Josh Jacobs, you took it right out of my mouth there. It is his injury, and that's going to play a part to see because that run game is going to need to get going for Green Bay if they want to have a chance to be neck to neck with this Packers team, with this Lions team there. But if Jordan Love and Jayden Reed, we talked about early on in this receiving core, there's not really a true one there. Anybody could have worked their way up to Christian Watson, Jayden Reed, Tavion Wicks there, but now that and Romeo Doubs, but now that he's out. Let's see here, the connection to Love and Reed, it's going to get going early. And if it gets going early, there's definitely going to be a very great chance for the Packers to probably close out this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, close out with the parlay, road team first all-star, with the Packers, what we're talking about. Now, I alluded to it. Starting with Jordan Love, his line set at 252 and a half. I'm going to take the under on his past yards. I'm really expecting the Lions defense to really start shutting down. In large part, I know Dobbs isn't his main weapon, but not having him is definitely going to hurt. I think Josh Jacobs is going to go under 70, I believe it was 73 and a half yards. Same thing, I've been loving him, and as much as this is going to hurt me in fantasy, it's a big week for me, and maybe we can throw that in a little bit at the end of the video. I'm going to take him under 73 and a half rush yards. Definitely think that injury is going to be nagging on him. That's if he even gets to play. So if he doesn't play, you can scratch that right out. And close it out, Tucker Kraft. I'm expecting him to be involved a bunch. He's been involved for the most part. I can't see that changing. I'll take him over 4.5 receptions. That'll be a demon pick, so I'll definitely start help you boost this parlay.
Yeah, and I'm moving on. I got Jamar Gibbs on this one, going over 0.5 rush or reception touchdowns there. That's pretty much, hopefully, that's a guarantee for just how he's been consistent with the running with the touchdowns there. And not Amon-Ra, but I'm gonna go J-Mo over 49.5 yards. I know I said sometimes Amon-Ra he couldn't be going. You got the other guy on the other side of the ball on the offense, J-Mo Williams. Hopefully a nice, pretty deep threat that the deep threat weapon that he has is for Goff. Hopefully that can pay off right there early on in the game. And then back to the running backs, I'm going to go Monty over 60 and a half rush yards. I'm going to see, they want to get that running game going quick, and they want to pound against this Packers team. Going to expect a little bit more touches from Monty coming into this game. So I'm going to hit the over on this one.
Yeah, obviously, definitely think this one feels a little set. Maybe some of these, I guess I could see some little hot takes that I'm going to have for the Packers offense, but we'll see how that ends up going. But before we close this out, it's the last week of fantasy. We don't really talk much fantasy as much as we probably said we were, but I am one game out of playoffs. You are already eliminated, but you could.
That's right. I am the factor here to help you, or I think it helped Carbs there too. But
if I lose, then Carbs could probably get some.
But I have to win. I do have to win.
Yeah.
I do have to win my matchup.
You need to beat Derek, and if you beat him, then that takes him down one spot. You need to beat him by a decent amount is the only thing.
Yeah.
Point differential could come into a factor, but you beating him is definitely going to be the big part. Your main guys, who we get into that really needs a big game?
Jordan Love. Well, actually, look, the thing about it, I'm still debating whether to start Jordan Love or Derek Carr. Derek Carr's going against good Giants there too, right? But the defining factors, it's going to be my running backs, and it's going to be JSN. Those are going to be the three guys.
About all of this, aside from JMO, this parlay is preying on both of me not making the playoffs if you're really looking at it. If I'm having Jacobs go down and Love not have that great of a game.
Hopefully the jinx hits this time. Let's hope the jinx this time, and let's see if playing spoiler finally plays out to me. I gotta do a little bit more cooking, today and tomorrow to see what I can get going for the spoiler matchup. As
crazy as it seems to me and to us in general, I have not had a playoff berth ever since this fantasy league has started. So, as a commissioner, so you can't say I'm biased in any way by with a commissioner role. But if I can finally get it, Christian, I just need you to pull through for me one time. And hopefully I can finally get in there, sneak in as a 6 seed, and maybe have some magic come my way. But I think that's going to do it for us here for the 25th episode of Beanstalk. Obviously, a little weird. Your camera's chopped, but, got to get it done anyway. Might have to start coming in doing it this way once we hit into winter break. But it's going to do it for us. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys right back for the Week 14 recap.